106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Let's get this show on the road.
Before you say anything, prepare to shut the fuck up.
Screw me. I ripped ass at the ATM.
McLovin! Nice!
Sit back, relax, and enjoy Irrelevant Platitudes with your hosts, Peter Benici and Lil Dazil.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, fire!
Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to episode number 18 of Irrelevant Platitudes. We're your hosts, Peter Benici and
Lil Dazil, bringing you all things irrelevant commentary on dating and relationships. Fuck.
Yes. Did you read what was in chat? That's the most obnoxious shit I've ever seen.
Mate.
Blue Goat, honestly, pull your head in or I will legitimately ban you.
I
That
will
is the
happily
dopiest,
moonboot you in
dumbest
the
shit I've
fucking
ever read.
face, cunt.
And like legitimately, if you're on a Twitch channel every Friday listening to two people talk, the only thing you bullied was yourself in the mirror every morning, okay? But before we get started...
Also, I'm not just wearing a jacket. I have a shirt underneath. Thank you, that's all.
That's actually quite a nice t-shirt.
Thank you. I recently got it in my haul, the $350 one.
Nice. Very nice.
Cozy.
So how was your week, ma'am?
Guess what, guys? Oh, wait, just for dramatic pause.
No, I haven't. I'm trying to find one, and I think I have one, but I don't know
Give,
if I can
any
get one.
sound to go.
Under pressure.
Under
I could
pressure.
probably go with
Pushing
the
down
laugh.
on me. Pushing down.
That's the only thing I've got that's
quality
positive.
time. Damn. Okay.
Everything's
so
all like not.
I will fill the masses in.
Yes.
I had a good week. A very good week.
That's all I've got that'll fill it.
I finished my last exam. It was 2.5 hours. I had extension because I've got ADHD, so I like to walk around. So I've got 30 minutes to actually walk around, but I have to be in the camera view. So I was like stomping with my mood around. But I knocked out in 2.5 hours with those breaks included in that time frame. 15 pages, 6,000 words.
My God.
Because I am a fucking genius. Not really, but because I'm...
I was kind of wondering, because you don't really talk about how much you study. You're like, I've got exams and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just
I
like...
did not study for my
you
exams
haven't mentioned
at all,
it
though.
once.
I don't
Really?
study. I think we spoke about that. I don't study. So I procrastinated the
fair.
entire time.
That's not fair at all.
No. But also I'm blessed with depression. So, you know, it evens itself out. But
Holy shit.
I'm feeling good because I had a good week. Ethics was
Yeah.
approved. And so my supervisor, right, he said that he was like, I don't think you're going to get that many participants without having to advertise and being paid for advertisement. I'm doing my thing on ADHD, which I think I told you about.
Yeah.
I need ADHD and non-ADHD people, which I'll send you the link for later anyway.
Yeah. You can post that on the Instagram and stuff
Post
too.
it on Facebook and no one on my Instagram because it's private and small. Pump up the jam. Pump it up. Agreed. Good song. Sorry. Side note.
That's right. Lil's referring to the Twitch chat. So
Yes.
to people that are listening to this in their car.
That's the reference. I was not just being random.
Yeah.
I mean, slightly sometimes. But so first day that I posted, right, under 24 hours, guess how many participants I got? I only need 64 for each group.
Don't tell me you punched a hundy.
No, not in under 24 hours. And this was without like paying.
Sorry, I always do that. People ask me, don't tell me it was like $5. Like, yes, it was $5. I'm sorry.
No. So I have to have 64 for each group. That's what I did a power analysis, and that's what would effectively be a good study, a reliable study with the amount of participants. I got 46 ADHD participants in the first 24 hours. So suck it, Pascal. No offense.
the fuck
Full
did you,
respect given to you.
How did you get that many people?
I'm in so many ADHD support groups.
Oh, so you
I
just put it on.
posted, I
Okay.
obviously asked
Yeah.
like the admins and the
Nice.
moderators. I'm like, hey, look, I've got ADHD, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to be like one of those people that's just like looking for participants. Like I have it.
Yeah.
I want to know more about it and I'd love to have input. What do you guys think? They were like, yep. Some people were like, no. Like I was in an, I'm also in a specific group, but I'm not going to name it. But they said no, and they're like, oh, we don't want to force people to do it. I'm like, participation is voluntary and all answers are confidential. They were just weird about it. I was like,
Yeah.
to each their own.
You
That's
got a
fine.
wanky moderator. There's one on
Fucking-
every page.
There's always one.
I get it in collectible. Like they're honestly, it's the worst.
Yeah.
Man.
It's
But,
shitty. I got laid
that's
this week as
exciting.
well.
Holy shit!
And
Go. Keep talking. Don't wait for it. Let me...
And gyms open up. So today I spent like 2.5 hours at the gym. Yeah. Not that you should ever spend that much time at the gym, but I was feeling like all this rage and full of fucking energy because I hadn't gone in fucking 2 weeks. I hadn't gone in 2 weeks. A girl needs to go to the gym. I needed to feel everything, and I did. And then when I came out, I was like, so much energy. It was so good.
I think I'm surprised your gym's not limited because the one I go to is fairly big.
I'm at Geordie's
it was
in Brunswick.
Oh,
so it's a very big gym.
That's interesting because maybe Derrimut does it because of once you're inside, but you have to once you're training. I think you have to wear them on the inside because that was
everyone wipes down their equipment and everything. Everything's very COVID.
That's funny.
safe.
We go to like opposing gyms. They're not friends.
You're an F45, right?
No, I got rid of them because they're too expensive.
They're also...
I go to Derrimut.
To where?
Derrimut.
You're just saying a sound.
That's Derrimut. That's the other big gym chain now.
Oh, I've not heard of it. Okay. But tell me about your week.
My week was pretty relaxed. I worked through. It was all sunshines and rainbows.
Yes.
Amy got her new car today, so she's very excited about that. So that was a big thing. It's a Volkswagen. It's not a T-Roc, but it's like a smaller version of a T-Roc.
Fancy.
That's an SUV thing. It's very cool.
Mm-hmm. Is it a speed demon car? I like speed.
No,
I'm not going to say it like
It's
that.
a very safe, mature car.
No cool car.
Burnouts. No. Hello, Hashi.
Hey, Hashi. Does anyone call you Hash Brown? Oh, I want a hash brown. I'm hungry.
I don't know.
No, I'm not.
And when you say shit like, is it on? You need to like confirm because we're live and recording. That confuses people that are recording a podcast if there's an issue with what's recording.
Is this
just a heads up?
Hello?
The chat is the worst today.
Agreed. But yes, your week. So you had good sunshine and rainbows. Amy got a car, which is not necessarily about your week. Bro, I have no sound.
He's being a fuckhead. Okay. He's trying to be funny.
Okay.
No doubt there's 8 other virgins with him in a Discord being like, ha ha, good one. Anyway, let's go to drinks, shall we?
Oh.
Drink of the week.
Cheers.
Okie dokie.
This week we're still
Everyone's
not
a fucking comedian behind the keyboard. Oh yeah, so we've got Island Fever hard seltzer. I couldn't get. I wanted to get White Claws.
I don't mind these. White Claw's good, but I actually don't mind it. Less than 2 grams of carbohydrates.
We'll see. We will see. All right, so we have TikToks queued and ready to fuck. So let's just.
Did you say ready to fuck?
Yes.
Get foggy.
You about done? TikTok, motherfucker.
I don't actually know if these are funny, but we're not doing anything now, so we'll.
Well, they're supposed to be funny. But
I just don't remember what they were. I always forget that I save things.
Do you know where that's from?
Just wait, just that volume
is that going to load at full screen?
I hope so.
Nope. Okay, do you want to explain that one?
So the video that everyone just watched, and for those who are listening to just the annoying fucking beeps, which is really loud in my ears, the volume is very loud.
That's a nerd reference. People should get that one. It's from Half-Life.
Oh.
When you die.
That's great. Clearly I'm not a nerd. No. Well, not in that way. I'm very nerdy in other ways.
That's part of the meme cultures. You have to understand where things come from.
Well, I think you can understand the reference without having to know the direct reference. That's kind of the whole point with TikTok. It's like cross-referencing references.
Look at you youngins with your poses. I know that. No, I'm kidding.
Can I just quickly make a side note?
Yeah, if you want.
I finally understand what it's like to be you. You know how you're always just shitting on me for my age?
Yes.
And you make really cringy comments or just don't know something?
No, all my comments are apt and amazing.
No, they're not. Questionable on all fronts.
No,
but
I have support
let's
from
be real.
everyone.
Social media.
That you are very young, including your own age.
I am. No, but you know how like there's people that try to get with the lingo, I guess is the better term.
Yes.
And you're like, you kind of just cringe when you hear it.
Yeah.
Today, because I work with kids, this little girl that I work with, she had new shoes. And I caught myself saying, those are some really fresh kicks. And I literally cringed at myself. And I said to her out loud, I'm like, I finally understand what it feels like to be one of those people. And she just looks at me, she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, nothing. Let's keep going.
How old was this person?
She's like 10.
So why are you having that level of conversations with 10-year-olds?
Shoes. You got
Jesus Christ. All right.
Look, they were fucking sick Nikes, right?
Next.
So loud.
Is this going to go? I still don't understand what region.
So it's respect all religions, unless it's Christianity.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's respect all religions, unless it's Christianity.
That's so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, bitch.
So good.
That was good.
I know. Every time I find a
you always
religious
put
one,
like a religious one in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know we do have some religious people here.
Guys, I
so-
really need to learn how to shake,
That should be used
my
to it, man.
ass.
Push in the choir. I need to shave my ass.
Huh?
What?
Guys, I really need to
Oh
learn how to
no.
shake my ass.
I've been on both sides of that conversation
So-
before, and it's very funny.
Okay, but I've got a thing for you,
Go
right?
on.
So with these things,
Yeah. That was
It's
Vine
staged,
Energy,
right?
by the way.
like it's staged.
That one wasn't.
You don't think?
You look through comments, and also you can tell the difference between something that's
to me, that's
genuine.
from my internet.
No, they were
Really?
stoned.
But why was she recording herself?
Literally every Zoomer has a freaking phone attached to their hands at all time. If you were
And they start
murdering
recording
someone,
themselves?
they would be recording themselves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's a very interesting
Jesus
culture that
Christ.
I'm beginning to learn about. And because I kind of am smack between millennial and Zoomer culture, I obviously had the ability to grow up without a phone attached, but I obviously know what it's like and the importance of having a phone and documenting things, sorry.
With the importance? What do you mean the importance?
Well, it can be
You
important.
don't need to.
Think about the way that people used to write things and how we use
Yeah,
that in
I
ethnography
understand.
studies and all that kind
I
of
guess
stuff, right?
I'm very much like, I see how many people are on phones now, and I'm like,
I get angry
the problem
sometimes. I'm like, just
people just
lift your
aren't
fucking
doing
faces.
shit in the present. It's just like always.
Yeah.
I'm all for like if you're killing time or whatever, or you're in line. Like phones are the best line.
They're good distracting
Time killers, right?
Yeah.
But it's you see these. I was on the fucking bikes today at the gym. Everyone is on the phone, like literally to the point where they're showing other people shit on their phone, and I'm just like, just a bunch. Like literally, there was 50 people in the gym. There was capacity showing each other stuff on their phones, and that's all that was going on. That was all the conversation. Like person at phone, person pointing phone.
The only time
Person
I
at
have my
phone.
phone is obviously for music, and I'll have that in my pocket
Yeah.
anyway. Or if I'm, because Doherty's is like a very big muscly man
Yeah.
gym.
Yeah. Which
I'm
one do you go to?
really
The one in the city?
Brunswick. I get very intimidated at those gyms, but I also like it because I know that people are specifically like working on themselves. They're not there to be to be seedy. So when I go, I'm like, if I want to try a new machine and I haven't tried before, I don't really like going up to people all the time and asking. So I'll go on my phone and look at tutorials how to do it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
that's
I'll do
fine.
it. But
That's
that's like
normal.
the only time that I'm on. I find like gym
look,
time
there's
is me
perfectly
time. Like
apt
don't be
times
on
to
your
use your phone.
phone. Like
Yeah.
if you need that much stimulation while you're already exercising, are you exercising hard enough?
Have a wank. No.
Could do that too, but
In
ideally
public?
at home.
Probably not advisable.
Not advised in public, please.
What are we doing next segment? Dating time. Big one this week, I think.
And all the while, you're just really wondering, are we going to get hopped up enough to make some bad decisions? And perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels.
Okay. I'll push this back onto
This
full
brain
screen.
is next level
Okay.
stupid.
So this week's one, we are changing gears completely
We are.
because we're always talking about advice on dating and stuff. And
We're sick of it. We're scrapping this whole segment.
due to recent
It's gone.
experiences, realized the people that probably be listening actually don't know how to meet people.
Yeah, especially
So,
those
like,
who sit on their computer
they can-
and then complain and say that they would bully us.
That like
sit
it's
comfortably
probably
right now.
worth
Okay.
probably the biggest hurdle I think for people in the dating space. Usually
Just kiss
is
this microphone.
is meeting people, right?
Yes.
And in a space now where everyone uses a fucking dating app, I think there's two issues where there's too much exposure to people.
Yep.
So you're now having to deal with like
You're
all
filtering
this
through.
extra shit that you wouldn't.
Yep.
You're dependent on like another person liking you, which at face value sounds normal. But there is a whole dynamic of approaching someone and kind of allowing that sort of filtration and not wasting conversational time with someone who's not interested.
Yeah, and I was going to say, even with that conversation, like, what's that thing that you always say? Self-preservation, right? All in those conversations and the photos that are selective as well.
Yeah, Matt, you meet people by having amazing friends introduce you to people. That's
Or
one.
being that ugly friend and then by default being the network gatekeeper. Hello, my name's Lil. That's me.
9 to 5. Yeah, so basically the aim of today is to just kind of outline starting points for meeting people if you don't want to fuck with dating apps.
Dating apps.
Like, because, yeah, I guess, I mean, for myself, towards the end, it's just, I don't, you're only going to get certain type of relationship through that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's not necessarily a one-night stand or whatever, but it just feels like it's almost inhibiting a whole bunch of things that would just come naturally by speaking to people.
Agreed. Yep.
And yeah, it should be complimentary. So if you want to be on the dating apps, be on the dating apps. But I think if you're in a coffee shop and you see someone you like that's adorable or whatever, don't not do that because you have dating apps.
Yeah.
So yeah, what we'll do first is I have like a whole bunch of notes and stuff that I wrote today.
You did. You were very thorough.
Yeah, and that was only scratching the surface. I had so much more I could put down on paper.
Well, put it to the words.
Yeah, I'm just trying to
put
get
it
my
from
eyes ready.
paper
The light is right
to reality.
Okay,
dude.
so yeah, obviously we're prefacing all of this by this is all outside of the dating apps, right? And
Can I make a quick note?
Yeah, you can.
People with social anxiety, dating apps are actually really beneficial in that way. So I can highlight the importance of why that would be helpful. That being said, it is still important.
Yeah, you just got to know you're playing like a certain style of game.
Yes.
At that point.
But carry on. Sorry, I just had to make that little tidbit.
So you're gonna run into a whole bunch of issues happen with apps and stuff like that. And honestly, like if you can work up the courage to go and approach people. So this is the key thing. Like if you're gonna want to change things up and make a difference, you're gonna have to conquer that. It's called approach anxiety. That thing that I don't know. So from what I've heard, most girls don't have an issue approaching. Like it's a bit awkward, but as opposed to a lot of guys won't admit it's terrifying approaching someone. And it's like, it's fucked until you get used to it. And you're still not kind of over it. It's still scary, but it's just something that you do. And people say that they're fine with it, or either A, autistic and don't feel that social anxiety, or full of shit. One of the two.
Also, some people with autism do experience social anxiety. Just another side note.
Good.
Just-
So, yeah, where are we going with? We are... Okay, yeah. So I always recommend starting with the best way to get this ball rolling is A, get fucking social. So get out and about. And the easiest way to start learning is when you're out with your friends drinking is be a bit more social. Don't be that group that's in the corner just fucking talking to themselves.
Yeah.
Have a chat to not just people that you want to fuck.
Smoko area. That is how
Smokers
you
area
fucking
is
meet
great.
so many people.
But getting yourself into that talkative state when you're out. So if you guys are having a funny conversation about something and then you see like, you know, when you're at the bar and you're getting a drink, maybe don't be weird and just wait for the bartender. Have a cheeky chat to someone at the bar. It doesn't have to be of the fucking same opposite sex.
Yeah.
You get yourself into that mind frame. When you're out, you can talk to anyone.
Yes.
You can go ahead.
can
I feel like you're chomping at a bit to say something. Go.
No, finish.
No, I've got so much. So
Okay. Well, I was going to say on that exact note, I have an exact prime example of doing that. So I was like smoking at uni bar and I was with one of my best friends at the time. We are no longer best friends. But that was an irrelevant side. No, sorry, that was
I'm like, do you want me to say something?
I don't want any empathy, but or sympathy. I'm so sad about this. No. And so do you remember the story that came out about old mate who wanted to date with a chick and he like went into the water with a crocodile and he almost died?
No, I have not heard this story.
Okay, so there was a thing on the news about it and he could have died. He got into the water, but he ended up going on the date with the chick and it was on the news like for a solid week. And so I was talking about with my friend, I overheard because I like to eavesdrop.
Everyone does.
There were 2 blokes that were saying the same and they were super engaged. I'm like, fuck it. They're saying the same thing. Why not like merge the conversation?
Yeah, that's very natural. That's normal. People just don't do that for some reason anymore.
Filtering, I suppose. But I went up and I was like, yo, very cool. We were also talking about that. Let's like engage. And so we did. And then we ended up going, I skipped so many classes with those boys. It was hilarious because they were software engineers. Obviously.
So they're well adjusted. I'm guessing normal people.
I'm glad that I really do attract a type. But no, they were awesome. And Scott and Elvin were their names. I'm still friends with them. They're very cool.
One of them was a chipmunk.
One of them snorted ciggy ash because we offered to buy a jug for him of beer if he would snort ciggy ash.
Oh man!
And he did it. And then I met Tom through him, and Tom introduced me to my ex.
There you go.
And that's why you never meet people.
But that's how those things happen. So I guess the point that we're making is that when you're out,
socializing is good.
It's very much that forward merging and backwards merging of groups. You can go. You're fine. Don't.
I'm talking. I can do things.
Distracting. Okay. Okay. So what did I say?
Friends at bars.
Yeah, and the big thing now, especially if you're male, because a thing that I've noticed is it's much more acceptable for women to socially violate. You won't get into as much shit. So probably not something girls need to worry about as much. But you constantly do need to be reading the room, not to the point of anxiety, but because this is working towards eventually approaching people when you're out in your everyday life. That should be, that was my goal.
Well, you should be watching people generally because it helps with behavior, right?
Yeah. My goal with approach was to, at any point in my life, see someone that I'm interested in and speak to them. That was where I wanted to get, right? That's how I met my last girlfriend, Amelia. We were in a bar, and it was just that moment where I was like, well, I'm never going to speak to her. I should do that now. You want to get to that point, not lose my own point. What the fuck was I
reading the room?
Say? Yeah. So when you do approach someone, there will be that initial awkward energy. But if she is genuinely giving you fuck off vibes after about a minute to 2 minutes, you then have to take that upon yourself to realize that no go. And look at the positives. Like, you didn't waste 50 minutes texting backwards and forwards and them have them ghost you. She just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
I always do recommend asking for the number anyway, just in case she's an awkward person, and that's kind of gets rid of that.
And at the moment, it's socials for anyone who's after younger humans. Just FYI.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, so what if someone asks you for a phone number? Is that weird?
It's not weird. I just don't save numbers in my phone. I still probably you and maybe 2 other people.
Go generalist though, I guess. So if someone asks for a number,
I give it. I've no issue with giving it, but I'd probably be like, oh no, just add me on Messenger.
So if you want to be more,
I don't ever give my Instagram away to people because I've got a new private one. And I don't give.
Yeah, that's the thing that completely goes over my head. Like private social media accounts. I'm like, sorry,
well, I have to,
social media accounts supposed to be public?
Work.
No, I get you. I'm just
and also
explaining that makes no sense to older people.
I'd lose my registration if they saw my ass on public.
That's fair. Yeah. But the key locations that I would start at would be out with friends. So that's where you would kind of
agree. And it's a safety buffer because look, if you get rejected, you're back with your mates.
Yeah.
If you're not, awesome, you can.
If you have shit groups of friends, though, like especially as a guy, like you'll get your balls. It happened to me a lot at the start.
Yeah.
Like realizing that I was terrible with girls and wanting to get better. It's just kind of a thing that you need to realize that people will bust your balls for 2 reasons. They're friends and they're just going to do it, or they will be somewhat intimidated by what you're doing because that will change their perception of you.
Yeah, there's a different dynamic there.
And as soon as that happens, as soon as your value changes in a social group, people get really uncomfortable, and the common response is to try and squash your value or inhibit that value growth.
That's when you know you need to change friend groups or set boundaries.
Yeah, but what I've learned is most people will do that anyway, and it's a very small minority of people that want to uplift people around them. So odds are multiple friendship groups are going to have that dynamic.
Yeah.
Learning to know that could happen, and not take that shit personally, and just kind of work with that. And yeah, like it sounds a bit like dark, but yeah, people will kind of do that. So don't
survival
get
of the
frightened.
Fittest. That's exactly what they're doing. They're like,
and understand that what you're doing is
to
trying to take you somewhere positive. Even with things like the podcast, like when people are a bit weird about it and stuff, it's just something that we want to do. So you just have to kind of ignore it and keep doing it.
Yeah.
Don't let that stuff inhibit you. So I would start practicing there because, like you said, it's safe.
Yep.
But ideally, you want to be looking for your day-to-day stuff. So your day-to-day stuff is going to be
Grocery shops.
Yeah, but without lurking. That's one thing that I want to premise here right now. So a big thing is if you do see someone that you do like, give yourself 3 seconds or 5 seconds, and then after that 5 seconds, if you don't approach, that's it, it's done. What that's going to do is it's going to start building a sense of urgency for you to do this. You don't want to start faking yourself out and them out.
That's what I do when I drive.
And that's what the guy did to you. So he basically followed you around the store, right?
Well, I was technically
whatever's happening now is an excuse being made. It doesn't matter. If he saw you and he liked you, you just approach.
Shy.
Yeah, but that's understandable. But the skill set you want to work towards, I guess this might be from a male perspective. It might be different for.
Not even just from a male perspective, though. But look,
you want to be able to act when you feel, because then there's all these other factors that come into play. So like,
yes and no. But
you get weirded out if you see someone staring at you. That's not normal, right?
Depends.
It's not normal
on the context.
So, but the context is being somewhere.
I'm not breaking eye contact with you forever.
Well, okay.
So
but normally, the point being made is that you wouldn't want to stare them out and freak them out. And
disagree, though. Literature is so it's different for males and females, but
yes,
interest. You know how I've mentioned interest over time is looking up, looking down, looking up, like repeated glances.
Yeah. So, but if someone's staring at you
constantly, because that's also an indicator of. Wow, you are
it's an indicator of interest,
my area. You're in my space.
But attractive women will get that all the time.
So stand out from the crowd and
go
flash
straight
her.
away.
What?
And go straight away.
I mean, yes and no.
You see my point?
I do to a degree. I mean, I do that when I'm driving. Like if there's the two roads that cross here and you're like at this road, because I go 1, 2, 3, and then I have to drive because if I don't go, then there'll never be a space for me to go and I'll be waiting forever.
Okay.
Same analogy, just a different experience. One's a car.
Well, an outcome.
Yeah.
So I would work on. You might not necessarily. That's going to take a long time to get proficient to be able to silence the anxiety and just go.
Within like psychological theory, though, like the thing that we do, behavioral activation for people with social anxiety, we get them to do experiments, which is including that kind of stuff. And then you look for the evidence that supports your belief of, oh, I'm unlovable or I'll be rejected every time I speak to someone. It's like, well, how do you know? You need to do the experiment first.
Yeah.
There's always going to be possibly a slight element of truth to your anxiety. That's why anxiety's there.
Yeah,
but
course.
it's a overreactive an oversensitive response to, imminent threat. It doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate or not.
Yeah, that's right.
So we do exactly what you've said.
Yeah, of course.
But exposure therapy also takes time. You need to do it in small steps.
It's going to take ages. Yeah,
even
exactly.
doing things with
that's
your
why
mates
the going
at the
out,
start,
the going out at the start will hopefully start to dumb that down.
But even having a friend with you, coming with you to that interaction, particularly if you're a guy, I personally, at least when I've been in interactions with men and with my girlfriends, because I think I've mentioned before, I tend to have very beautiful best friends.
Yeah.
So when I'm out with them, usually people will come to us, but for my friend. But I find it less threatening, I suppose, or intimidating, whatever the word is that you'd want to use.
When a group of dudes come.
Not when a group of dudes comes, but when there's like 2 or 3 guys, and from their group, you can see the big group.
But I guess the question I would ask though is, would you ever really have a guy approach on his own?
Well, once again, I don't get hit on really.
No, but anyone in the group, it's very rare that a guy would approach a group of girls on their own, right?
I've seen a few times. I've seen some
But that's what I'm
ballsy
saying.
people.
In comparison to dudes going in
I prefer the
packs.
friends thing. I prefer in packs, honestly. It's way less intimidating, and also you've got a buffer. If you've got a friend as the buffer that can talk to the other friend, because usually girls are protective, so they'll be in groups as well.
It's usually a better show of confidence if you went up first, and then you would have a normal interaction where your mates would come in.
That I will agree with. Yes, that's more natural. A more natural manifestation of that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that's why you're building a set, and this is the thing too, because you got to remember people will become dependent on having friends to do things and making excuses. So you basically
creep them out.
You want to build a skill set so when you are in these places that I'm supposed to be telling people,
can do that
we're not telling them yet,
the friends.
that you are going. And that you can do it on your own, and that there's no dependency. So there's no alcohol required. There's no situation required. There is just someone that you're interested in and you can speak to.
Yeah.
Right?
Ooh.
go while I grab the point I was looking for.
Third paragraph.
No,
Second paragraph then. But yeah, I suppose a little tip from me as well is practice just complimenting people. Sober, down the street, not in a creepy way, not at nighttime, just genuinely. But it has to be genuine. If you see someone's wearing cool shoes, has nice hair, usually one of the things I do, because I don't like to kind of stop women on the side of the roads, and I've noticed that sometimes I forget that catcalling exists, so women tend to be
that doesn't work.
Don't do that.
That's never worked in the history.
But just
of
like walking down the street, if I see someone, I'm like, hi, I'm sorry to bother you. I just thought I'd let you know, like, I really, really like your fit.
I would never apologize for stopping someone.
I do, because some people are busy.
It's okay I think for girls it'd be different, but as males, don't ever apologize for stopping someone. You're already apologizing for taking up their time. Excuse me, I'm having a conversation with you. If you don't want to have a fucking conversation with me, don't have to have one. I'm not sorry that we're having this interaction. You're already starting it off in a almost beta headspace. And it's like, you're talking to someone, don't apologize.
Hey, do you have a second? Or something like that then.
Yeah.
Just,
or hello.
Yeah, but
hello works.
But I mean, just practicing the fact of, I just wanted to let you know, you've got a very beautiful, I was going to say beautiful butt there.
I guess
you've got beautiful eyes. I just want to say you're
stray away from the obvious shit.
No, but I'm just saying to practice before you're actually going to step into the comfort zone of asking someone out or going fully for the attractive, just making general compliments to strangers where you can.
That is pretty good. Just be careful. I would recommend.
Yeah, that's a
strongly,
cautionary one.
Yeah, because it is a look from my experience dealing with giving compliments. Is you kind of just come off like every other person. And
people don't get complimented that much.
But unless they're trying to fuck someone, in which case a lot of compliments.
Thanks. So then why don't you want to, like I said, back to the strangers though?
So this is why I'm saying is you want to stand out. You don't want to be everyone else. You don't want to be that same fucking human being that's doing the same thing as every other person.
But this is just getting practice out. It's not going to make
but you're going to build bad habits.
No, you're going to build confidence, and then you can develop upon those skills. It's about shaping.
Confidence only comes with success. So if you're breeding bad habits, you would never train.
Confidence comes from information.
You would never train something incorrectly. Yeah, because you're going to keep going.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to get the point out for like the last 20 minutes. Right?
Okay.
Not building the skill set in the correct way is you're going to end up just causing more issue later.
Yeah.
You're going to have to unlearn all these behaviors. Because you're running around complimenting people and you're like, I don't know why she's not getting attraction when I'm coming to speak to her. And then I've dropped a bunch of compliments because it's easy.
Yeah.
As well. It's easy to point out, the jeans are cute and all that sort of stuff.
That's true. Yep.
But anyway, the point I was trying to get to about 20 minutes ago was when you do approach, you obviously want to read the room and you want to make sure if she's uncomfortable that either you're trying to make her feel as comfortable as possible or if you can basically guarantee that she's not interested, just let it go and kind of move on. At that point, it's probably burnt out. Your awkwardness at a certain point, if it hasn't settled, it's probably an indication that she doesn't want to talk to you anymore. So that's the biggest thing, I guess, at all times with all approaches is, and this is repetitive now, but reading the situation, making sure you're aware of the vibe coming from someone. And before you're approaching, don't ever approach from behind. Don't ever come out from like a weird area. You always want to come front on so she can see you. And you want to obviously don't loom or kind of make yourself bigger than you need to be. You want to just approach directly and start off chatting, which we can get to after what we're saying.
No, I agree with that.
Cool.
Yep. I think all of that's good, and you're ensuring the feelings of safety and respecting people who are not interested. So, yep, I've got no issues with what you just said.
Okay. Next. All right, so places. The easiest thing, like once you've built that skill set up, is I would be looking for shopping centers are probably the best place.
Yeah.
There's so many different venues inside a shopping center.
Yes.
You can kind of do your shopping and kind of look, I'd say during the day.
In their trolleys, if they're psychopaths.
I wouldn't be going off
contents. I would. They've just got a bunch of lube and tissues.
Yeah, look, I mean, you
They've
could.
got some duct tape and some gloves. You know, like, are they going to be murdering someone? Are they into kink? Who knows?
If you're so inclined. But even so, with retail and stuff during the day, they're going to have pretty cute attendants that are there bored doing nothing.
Have a cheeky
So
flirt. Same with weight stuff.
you can practice that thing we're talking about, the pointless conversations, just to get into that talkative state.
100%.
So once you're in that talkative state, you'll find it a lot easier to talk to people. And don't worry about the sort of rejections and stuff that you're fearing.
Yeah.
Jesus, out of approaching for how many of a years, I think I only ever got that bad one that I spoke about on like the 3rd episode. Like that was like once. So that's out of probably like hundreds of approaches. One bad one, and that was my own fault. So that wasn't reading the room.
Misses anyway.
That was that key point of not reading the room. Like I didn't see that she was crying, and probably shouldn't have approached her. But yes, okay. So, but what I did want from your perspective is because I have no idea what it would be like for a girl to approach a guy.
No.
If there are girls out there that want to approach dudes,
No.
because at a certain point, like, I think we're moving into a space where you can't wait.
Oh my gosh, it
for the knight in shining armor.
bugs me so much. Like, I understand traditional views. That's the type of person you are. Awesome. I get that. I respect it. But waiting around is not going to get you where you want to be. And if it means that you bite the bullet,
agreed,
and do it, and it gets you to your desired outcome, who fucking cares? I have no social filter. So for me, I can't speak to what works for me. But I can't speak.
Well, you can, because it works.
Yeah. Well, I have no social filter. And by that, I mean, if I am attracted to someone, I will make a point of saying it. I don't understand the logic of people playing games. If you're attracted to someone, why wouldn't you say that you're attracted to them? The logic for me is, okay, this person's attractive. I think it's about intention. If you have no intention, it doesn't matter. You just want to tell them that you're feeling a certain way. I feel like it's going to lead you up for success, because for the most part, and that's also what happened with me with the Coles person, right? I had no intention. I was like, I just want to let you know I think you're attractive. Okay, bye. And he was like, oh, wait, I think you are too. I'm like, okay, bye. I'm like, I forgot that there is usually this intention there. I think intention leads to why people react so heavily with rejection, because they're like, oh, well, I wanted this outcome to happen and it didn't happen, and that's why it's so more. It's personalized so much more. For me, I go in with
that's a big thing. Don't take it personal too.
I am so attracted to this person. I'm just gonna let them know. Whatever happens, happens. Cool.
Yep.
I'm not going to come in with any expectation though. So then for the most part, like when I was at the Seth Century gig, there was this really handsome dude. And he was just in the crowd. He didn't look like he was with anyone, but I was like, I don't know if he has a partner or not. And also that's one of the things, you never know if someone has a partner. I usually just go off the fact in my mind. They're probably taken just to sort of buffer as well,
and that's
for
not
rejection.
your problem anyway, right?
No, it's not my problem, but it's more of a buffer for me. So if I do get rejected, it's like, well, you know, I don't have the person, like, rah, rah, rah. But I go up to the person. I just thought I'd let you know, I think that you're a very handsome looking human. And he was like, oh, thank you so much. I'm like, no worries. Have a nice night. He didn't have to retaliate. I didn't expect anything. It was really nice. Other times I'll go up to someone and they'll obviously be interested in that way and respond back. But I don't really do the conversation thing. It's behavior.
Okay.
I've just got to watch. So for me, I don't rely on alcohol, but I tend to hit on people more when I am drinking. Well, I think that goes for most people.
That is the general consensus. And the only reason that I was advising against it, it's
a buffer.
It's just to build a skill set. Whereas you already have that skill set, you could probably approach someone
sober,
stone cold sober, and a lot of girls can. I think it's a different anxiety that you guys might get starting a conversation as opposed to a guy.
I think it's the same outcome fear with rejection.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, it's not fueled by ego. It's fueled by insecurity, which is both tied together, and I understand that. But it's not, I guess the best way to word it, and I know this isn't the experience for all men, but I suppose it's, if a man's rejected, it's well, something's wrong with her for not wanting me.
Yeah, that's a really bad way to look at it.
And this is, once again, this is generalizing. This is not, I'm not saying all men, I'm not saying all women.
No, I think you could say
"What's
the
wrong with
majority
me? What did I do wrong? What is it
Yeah.
about me?" And I think that that's where the difference lies.
but more growth comes from that mindset.
I agree, 100%.
And that's a really good point. Like, don't ever be like, that chick's a bitch or whatever. Like, even if she is genuinely being a bitch, like when you approach, because it happens, and it's happened to me. You need to look at, like, yeah, there could be some stuff that's doing that. She's not a bitch. She's just being a bitch to you at that instance for whatever reason. And that's not necessarily an excuse. Yeah, it's not an excuse. And believe, like, using that as kind of some sort of justification to feel better about being rejected, you're going to get rejected, and that's not a bad thing.
No.
That's part of the process. Think of it as kind of like a bonus. The sooner that you get rejected, the closer you are to meeting another person that is not going to waste your time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way of thinking about it.
Yeah, so I think a big thing is, like, if you ever hear any of your mates and stuff be like, she's just a fucking bitch, or look at her, she's stuck up or whatever. It's like, dude, she's doing that because A, she probably gets hit on a lot, and she wants to start weeding out. Like, if you want to sit there and be all smiley, she's going to be approached by every single person that locks eyes with her, and is like, oh, well, clearly she wanted to talk to me. So they have to have mechanisms in place to weed out the majority of dudes when you're out. Like, it's just, that's what happens, right?
Mm.
So she's not a bitch. She's probably just wanting to have fun with her friends.
Yeah.
Right?
And then sometimes that's the intention. Sometimes people genuinely just go out to have fun. They don't want to be fucking pestered by disgusting humans.
That's exactly right.
Seriously, the amount of times I've gone out for girl nights, and like I said, I've got some beautiful ass freaking friends. So when I'm around them, I'm like, yeah, I know that we're just going to have an influx of people. And they're just like, I just want to dance. I'm like, let's go to a lesbian bar. Like, but at the same time, you'll still get on hit on. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Truly, at this point. But it's irritating. I think intention is the biggest thing about this stuff. If you have the intention of just practicing, getting your confidence up, it's not going to matter whether you're rejected or not, because you're just practicing.
It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. It sometimes does, but it shouldn't.
Yeah.
If the intention is to meet someone, which is what we're talking about, you're going to need the practice, and you're also going to want to, like, if you're rejected by someone who's not interested, you, for the most part, would want to have someone that's attracted back to you and who's going to be reciprocal. Find someone that's within your league, I think.
Oh, look, I would say
within your league, let me just clarify before I go on. We have a field of eligibles. It's a 3-part thing. It's I am here, who's around me, my levels. People have a 3-point buffer.
Right.
Now, we all have subjective and objective looks and scales, and someone's 10 is always going to be someone's 2. Objectively, I know that I can range anywhere between a 4 and an 8. That's my max capacity. That's where I'm sitting on the link. I can't go after 10s. That's just not feasible.
Do you feel like that's a limiting disbelief?
No, because 10s don't associate with, like, it's literally part of, it sounds ridiculous, but the research even states the field of eligibles, you stick into your field. You play into your league.
No,
you can
I
go a little bit
understand
above.
Yeah.
So,
but you wouldn't say there's never edge cases?
Very rarely. You need to be offering
but there
something.
Still is edge cases, right?
Exception to the rule. Let's be real.
But that's what I'm hinting at. Like, don't limit yourself.
Don't limit yourself.
Let them decide that.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
But that being said, as well, the people you're going to be attracted to generally are within your field. It's the same as when you make with your friendship group. You're usually around the same wavelength as far as eligibility, because people match with their same kind, same values, generally similar looks, same music style. It's all about that, because we're attracted to what is similar, familiar, and close in proximity. Those are the 3 things that attract people the most. So one thing as well, fun fact, if you wanted to meet someone, people who are familiar to you, whether they're in friendship groups, like mutual friendship groups, whatever, that's always good. Proximity. If you're living, I believe it was a 15-kilometer radius maximum, you're more likely to feel close to this person. This person being vague individual who lives 15 kilometers away maximum from you. Familiar, proximity, and similarities, things that you have in common. So whether it's music taste,
commonalities,
it's values, things like that.
It's just, it's all commonalities in general.
Those are the things you want to find. Maybe you know, obviously that's more something that you'd find over time.
Correct. Yeah.
But when
it happens
you're
in
meeting
the instance,
someone,
though. You'll talk
and
about
you can
some
pick
shit.
it up.
Yeah.
You can pick up quite quickly whether you and someone are going to get along. Like with friends,
Yeah.
for example, when I met you, I mean, we got along. We had a good chat.
Yeah.
First night that we did the podcast was the second time we met, guys.
It was. Yeah.
We hit it off, and
Yeah.
for me, I was like, okay, we do have similarities.
Yeah.
People can connect very easily. You will know if you're feeling tug and pull rather than you having to do all the work. That's one of the things you will know. If someone is interested, it will not feel like you're playing this. It is literally just,
that's true.
it's a balance, and it will not be that hard. If people are interested, it is not difficult. If they're very much interested, super easy, but otherwise, I feel like that's the best way to tell. You will know if it's uncomfortable, it's not right. If it's awkward, that's different. And the way to distinguish between those things,
trying to figure that out.
Awkward's weird. I mean, the best way to tell, if you're having sex, for example, and you start laughing and it's awkward, that's normal. That's okay. If everyone's fumbling and bumping into each other and it happens like every time you have sex, that would probably be an imbalance of chemistry. Not really there, right? You will know. If you're matching, you're going to feel it. If you are on a date and you start to synchronize, so that's one of the things as well.
The mirroring and stuff.
Mirroring and synchrony, they're natural. Obviously, people can mirror to make someone feel like that because there's a lot of studies that support that. It's manipulative. But synchrony is the only thing that happens without intention when it's done naturally. And you will see that when people are interested in you, their body language will shift. They will completely go from here to we're exclusively talking now. This is you and me. We're having an intimate discussion, whether it's, social or intimate.
I think
in that
a
way.
big point with a lot of this stuff too.
Sorry.
That's why I was like, I'll give you a break. Is it's all information that it's very crucial. But what I would recommend is, because there's the body language one was big.
Yes.
But don't use that as like an exiting point. If the vibes and things like that are all pointing positive, but you're noticing little inconsistencies, a lot of that stuff is just like the human condition.
Yeah, of course.
So like a person won't be 100% compliant with like everything all the time for a multitude of different reasons. But I did want to circle back to like the dating within leagues and stuff. That I guess this is the thing where for the most part and for the majority of people that's right. But I guess it depends on where you want to be and where you want to go. I wouldn't limit yourself. If you feel like you have the wherewithal and kind of, not the gall, but that's probably the only word that's coming to mind, that don't let the fact that you think someone is too attractive to stop you from at least speaking with them. Because the one thing I learnt was there's a lot of girls that I dated that were friends of people that I'd hit on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would just say don't let that limiting disbelief inhibit you. Let the other person set that boundary for you. And if you feel like you're attracted to those people and they're the people you should be dating, I would strongly implore you, as long as you felt like it was worth it, that thing of, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
Do it. Just do it. Because you're the only person that loses from that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. And on that note, I also want to highlight the field of eligibles. It's not just to appearance.
Yes.
That also,
intelligence and stuff. The whole gamut.
Absolutely.
I'm speaking to the whole gamut.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear, because obviously I use the attraction as the key thing there. You might be a subjective 2 and your partner might be a subjective 10. And you're like, well, what is going on? But your intellectual level might be matched at an 8 together. And that would be your commonality. That would be your field of eligibles. It doesn't necessarily apply.
That's right. So that context is important.
Yes.
So it's, and that's why
you'll see weird pairings. And you're like, what the fuck is going on there?
Yeah.
There's something. There's always something.
And a lot of I guess the judgment on those pairings just comes from jealousy, because it'll honestly, that someone else will look at their relationship and they'll be like, well, fuck.
How did she get him? Or
he
get
like
her?
What the fuck? Like, and again, that's just other people settling for their limiting beliefs.
And that too. One thing as well, just a side note, do not get. One thing I hear so many guy mates do, and I don't understand it, but also women do it too, because, hello, been here, done that. But
go on, yeah.
What is with staying in a relationship where the settling thing, I don't understand it. Because like what you just said before, you're like always aim high if you believe you're like able to do it. Depends where your success lies, right?
Yep.
What your ideal is. My ideal, I have pretty freaking high standards, and I mean I still settle for less. But with that being said, no. I hear from a lot of guy mates, they're like always complaining about their missus. I don't understand that. If you're not happy, leave. Because if you're supposedly settling the way that you're describing it,
I've had conversations with people where they've opened with, he's not that attractive, but. And I'm just like, fuck, dude.
No, my next partner is going to be attractive, intelligent, fucking funny.
Well, the thing is, like, because attractiveness is subjective, right?
Well, for my attraction.
That person, that person should always be gorgeous to you, no matter what. Like,
I mean, look, you get pretty fucking ugly in a couple after a fairly long time together because you become complacent for the most part. Most couples do. It's comfortability.
It's up to the pairs, yeah.
But
Which
you
is
still
fine.
want to be at least a little bit attracted to your partner.
I would
not
say
even just minimally. I mean, like, you still want to be able to look at them and go, I want to be ravenous to my partner right now, right here.
With some grapes
like
and
she
wine.
just gave birth, take the nappy diaper off, let's go.
Jesus.
You know, anything like that. Like
That's
you
heavy,
after,
bro.
well, you know, there's a lot of people that are like, I wouldn't touch my wife after childbirth. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's like if you don't want to touch your wife after she just created that child with you and then decided to give birth and you look at her differently, get the fuck out. You were
but I think those guys don't have to worry about meeting women. That's fucking, I don't know, but I get what you're saying.
But sorry, I just
I was like, we're going deep into
but like, don't settle. If you're finding and meeting people, have your standard.
Well, I think,
what you're looking for.
There is nothing wrong with doing that, but I think what we're trying to kind of not instill, or at least definitely, don't limit yourself. That's how I've always. Again, this is a lot of my personal beliefs.
Yes.
So preface all of this with this is just how Pete thinks. So like, take from it what you will. But I would never not date someone that I didn't think was absolutely gorgeous. Like, I would never not date someone that I didn't think.
Did you hear that, Amy?
Was like
gorgeous.
an intellectual match. Yeah. I would never. You know what I mean? Like, why?
No, I agree.
I would rather be alone than be with someone that was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, that's really shitty to the person that you're with. And like, everyone's scared of being alone, right?
To a degree.
But to be with someone and then still be alone is the same.
100%.
Like, it's not, you know what I mean?
I know exactly.
So we've diverged fucking significantly away from the places where you should meet people. But so I would say you want to start going out with friends, talking to people.
Read the room.
You want to transition into having that. It's called calibration. So having that ability to understand a person's comfort levels. And if you're feeling awkward, realizing where your awkward level is and then what part of that's being made by the other person, you know, like if you're pushing that forward, then okay, it's over. We're not going anywhere. She's not interested. Because a lot of girls, they're just never going to have the chance to be like, very few girls will be awesome and be like, I have a boyfriend, even if they don't have one, or I'm not interested, even if that, you know, like, you've kind of got to sometimes make that jump. Be like, she's not interested.
Yep.
I would always recommend, even if you think that, asking for the number, say she is an awkward person. And then once we're starting to get that, where you're comfortable doing that shit, I would recommend shopping centers as your first point of contact.
Yes.
Big ones during the day. Some like the friend thing's good, but if you feel like I learn better on my own because I'm less scared to make mistakes, I would go by myself to do that. Unless you have a super supportive friend. And I got really lucky. One of my closest friends in the whole world, Ninos, was like not a judgmental person in the slightest. So
awesome.
It was easy just to have him there to do that stuff. And friendship circles are key in the support for that. So even if you have a mate within a circle that like kind of gets you and won't kind of like
throw you under the bus.
Yeah, or like, you know, fuck around with you mentally while you're trying to like learn how to talk.
Yeah.
And this is all stuff like if you want to do that. Some people are happy dating friends of friends and people they work with and all that sort of stuff. All of this is if you don't want the normal standard of meeting a human, like being introduced by, families introduce people these days. That's a thing. You got your dating apps. This is the outside of that. If you want to, like, the mantra that used to be pushed, which you can't really push anymore, was, if you wanted to date that super gorgeous person at the coffee shop,
do it.
Why not?
Yeah.
But to do that, you've got to obviously start building traits that are attractive to people like that in public. Like, you can't just fucking walk up and expect some, amazing person to just be like, oh, yeah, that guy kind of just fumbled his way through awkwardly talking to me. You need to convey some sort of congruence with being comfortable.
Agreed. Yep. 100%.
So that was. I should have, next time we do one, I'll break it down into dot points.
Mate, yeah.
But that was me at work.
No, but that was really good. I think that you've raised a really, really good topic for this week. I apologize for interrupting you so much before.
No, that's okay.
I was panicking
for
a second. I'm like,
because I was like, you need to stop because we're so far off point. That's the only reason I'm like, because I took 3. I'm like, okay, remember. And there was one point I was trying to remember, and I'd stop, and I'd be like, all right, let it go. And then you were going, and I'm like, no, you need to stop because I'm not going to get this point out. Like, it's going to be fucked.
Okay, cool.
So next,
come over for Darts Raz after if you want. We've got a good news segment though.
Yes,
a really good one actually this week.
Hit the news button.
No news is good news.
No news is good news.
Rock and roll. EC. Okay, so this week, Friendly Geordies for international listeners is a political / pop culture commentator. So he got super famous commentating on that Married at First Sight, which is a super trashy Australian TV show.
Good for doing that too.
But he is a major political activist. He's heavily left-leaning, and there are some reports that he's possibly even embedded within the Labor Party. So that could be. We preface all of this with this person's like almost a political activist, but he's a journalist, right? And a long story short is he's been antagonizing the Liberals in Sydney quite significantly.
Constantly.
He himself, he's I was going to say the WOG. Say that he's ethnic.
WOG. I can say WOG. We're both WOG.
No, but I don't think we can say it on podcasts. That's okay. Let me bring up
Said POG, obviously.
Yeah, POG, dude. Let me bring up the Friendly Geordies.
I was going to say, aren't we like both of that?
We are. But he
ethnic.
is also. He's ethnic. And he's been kind of antagonizing a semi-corrupt,
a very corrupt
liberal institution in Sydney.
Yeah.
And they're all ethnic. So he's been using a lot of like ethnic slurs to like make it funny. Let's see if I can get the videos up. He actually dresses up as Luigi. And he stayed in his Airbnb and then made comment that he banged his miss. Anyway, I'll see if I can get a clip of what he's doing, which has kind of heated this situation up.
What are you, my brain? I know what I... Unlike the Al Capone...
Until he smoked so much, his voice has gone so deep.
The sheer waste of the court's resources, the Deputy Premier screams, "It doesn't look anything like me!" I mean... if future generations want to know why they live in a scary post-apocalyptic world, here's your answer. Exhibit A.
He's calling him a meatball, which
Seriously,
is pretty racist.
I do think you're corrupt. What are you trying to say? You don't actually think I'm corrupt. You're just saying that. What are you, my brain? I know what I think. Your points are so insane, they're making me insane. He's trying to sue me for what I think. This is
Yeah, so basically, long story short, they've antagonized him for months upon months.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of corrupt behavior, both from the Premier and I think he's the Deputy Premier. And it's basically all come unhinged. They've basically slapped a journalist with a lawsuit for defamation.
Yes.
So I don't know legally if you can call defamation on someone reporting on you.
You sort of can. It depends.
Can you? Isn't there a journalistic freedom though?
Nah, there's certain ways that you're not able to.
What about satire laws for
I was going to say satire. I think is specifically targeted where you can't.
Yeah, so this
I guess political
this,
parties that is at least anyway.
Yeah. So what's happened in Australia is the Liberal Party have engaged in what's being deemed currently as possibly suspect behaviour, where they had a counter-terrorist group raid his PA's house and subsequently arrest him because Friendly Geordie's PA approached the deputy premier while they were out
I think
in
it was
public.
the producer of his show as well, right?
Yeah, they have. I think he's an intern. One of the two. And this kid's a uni student.
Yep.
So he was actually on break at uni near
And
where
his
they work.
dogs
Thank you
were
guys to
going off
YouTube.
in the video. His poor mum.
This is when they arrested him. But the
Yeah.
initial incident, he'd approached. I'm going to call him Braz because that's what his name is. I can't remember his name. Anyway, he approached him with basically they'd slapped him with a lawsuit.
Yep.
And then the wrong address was on there. So these guys are trying to do it by the book. There's a whole backstory to where they told the media they were going to sue them, but actually hadn't served them. Took them a good 3 weeks. So there's all these scare tactics and manipulation that they're basically calling them out on. So they slapped them with this lawsuit. The lawsuit had incorrect information. They corrected the information and then gave it back to him.
Yep.
They were handing it to him directly. This is the deputy premier. And because it was recorded and he was made to feel embarrassed because it was in public, a couple of days later, this guy's house was raided by a counter-terrorist group who were set up after the Lint massacre to try and offset terrorist behavior. But now they're being used on journalists that are antagonizing.
Oh, absolutely. But when does he ever not? He's been doing this for years. He's been
that's
doing
right.
this for years.
But also, as a politician,
suck it up.
you aren't necessarily, in my personal opinion, allowed
Or a human.
to persecute people antagonizing you based on your political beliefs, as that is your job. And if defamation was the thing, couldn't the Liberal Party every year get the Labor Party for defamation?
Yep. 100%.
And vice versa?
Yeah, 100%.
You know what I mean?
I do.
So yeah, basically what's happened is a journalist's been put in jail.
Yeah.
I think he's currently in jail.
I think so too.
Which is a fucking disgrace. Like,
it's ridiculous.
Look at this shit that all the Channel 9 owned newspapers push. But again, that's all
Media,
liberal
all that
agenda.
shit too.
Yeah, but there's no one's ever put in jail for that stuff.
Nope.
A dude on YouTube who's making genuinely funny content that, yes, is heavily left-leaning, but again, a lot of it's satirical. The parts of it that are real...
He's actually also being quite objective with the way that he's portraying it when he's stating facts.
I think he got an IVO. He got an IVO against the kid, so the kid can no longer work on content that involves him. So that's a thing too that's also troubling. That if you somehow get to the point where you can bully a politician, they can slap you with an IVO, and if your work involves any sort of like politically based activism, they can stop you doing that.
That's so fucked.
Yeah, and that's been all allowed.
I love that the police are doing that. I wish they took that, like the way that they're taking that so seriously as they would with the stalkers that women are reporting, that males are doing, like stalking them. It'd be great to see the police taking action on that. Just saying.
It's really troubling because I haven't seen that level of stuff or that level of corruption outside of the States.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And it's terrifying that it's here now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And thank God that it's kind of in Sydney and maybe not local to us. I don't know. It could be. But we are lucky where we do have, well, not lucky. We have a Labor government. So that sort of activism, I guess, probably wouldn't be targeted. It'd be the opposite end. So it'd be the Liberal stuff. But I haven't seen any Liberal activists targeted for anything in Victoria. Yeah, so I think it's very much a thing of, again, and these are kids too, man.
Yeah.
Like, what are you prosecuting kids for? Because their videos get hundreds of thousands of views, and like you don't quite understand.
He got 48k likes on the video where he shut on me.
It's just terrifying. And like, I thought the Sydney Premier got caught for like collusion and stuff, and she's still allowed to be in office or whatever.
Yeah, Gladys.
Like that. But yeah, that's massive. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That was more personally troubling for me. People who listen to the podcast might not necessarily care, but I'd say it's pretty important if you've got journalists being locked up for saying they believe.
Yeah.
Do you want to do Clementine Ford, or do we just want to pass on her?
Pass on that one. I think we're.
I think so.
Time. I just don't have the energy for that one.
I don't want to turn that stone over just yet.
Nope.
But I guess you know what you could use the same premise here. So these guys would technically be weaponizing their fan base, right?
Yeah.
Do you think it's okay for people to weaponize fan bases?
Freedom of expression. I'm going to claim on that
I think there's
one.
a duty of care.
I think
involved.
you have to be wary that there are consequences, and if you're not willing to accept the ramifications that come from your actions, then don't post.
Yeah.
Don't defame, don't criticize, don't mock, don't do any of that if you're not ready to cop the flack for it. If you are, fair game. Free speech.
Yeah.
I'm as much as I hate the idea of people saying things that I don't agree with.
If we got famous enough, like a lot of the stuff that I say is like
Problematic.
fairly Labor bias. as well.
Labour bias? As in, like, we're talking
Politically.
Australian terms.
Yeah.
Cool.
So if the Liberal Party found issue with how popular we got or whatever, they could slap an IVO on me, and then I couldn't produce content commenting on the Liberal Party.
I don't vote for them anyway.
Yeah,
Well,
but
for the
like,
most part.
but they could silence you because you then couldn't talk about anything political, which is crazy.
I think that's stupid. It's a fucking joke.
Yeah, there's that double-edged sword. Whilst these guys are weaponizing their fan
If
bases,
we would ever be famous and we could have the same or similar roles. Yeah, I get that.
but it's interesting that they're not going after him though.
But you know
Which
why?
is interesting.
He's still going to make content regardless.
Yeah.
They're attacking the other ends, the makers, the doers.
Yeah.
They think that he's somehow not capable of producing something on his own.
Mm.
They literally it's literally a ploy against him, I reckon.
And I guess it would turn his staff against him too.
Yeah.
'Cause if
People
they're all
are going
getting
to feel more
prosecuted-
anxious and scared to be working with him.
Easy. I didn't think
it's tucked up,
grown
isn't it?
adults would do this to kids.
I'm not
He'd be like
surprised in the
20.
slightest.
He streams on Twitch.
Yeah, let's also be real here. Authority figures. Wild. Like the Stanford prison experiment or the Milgram experiment.
Okay.
Authority, people in authority abuse their power. Does not
Yeah.
matter if you're a child or not.
That's crazy, man.
Same with parenting though. That's how authoritarian parenting happens. Shall we move on to our final thing and then say our goodbye?
Yeah, I was trying to think what our final thing was though. That's why I was like sticking to
Oh,
this.
it's the season 5 trailer of the month.
Yes, I'm glad you remembered.
I remember. So,
Okay.
Working Mom season 5's out on Netflix. If you haven't watched the first season or the second or the third or the fourth, get onto it. I personally love this show because it's about busy working moms who love sex, who are a bit on the batshit crazy side. I don't know.
When
it's
did that
just
come
like
out? It came out this week?
Huh?
Did it come out?
Yeah, it's just this week.
Nice. Fire
And I
hole.
finished it already.
Get in my business, Bo.
Yes.
Toot toot. Oh, you maxed out, Dwayne Jones?
Please. I got 20 more in the tank.
Yeah. No, me too.
Jesus.
Those puff sleeves? Are those board shorts? Are those white leather boots? Is that a bong? It is. Cool, dude.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You want to drink more wine? Yes. Pull your pants up when you're done.
Worth the watch. Promise y'all.
That's season 5.
Season 5. And if there's that
I've
many
noticed
seasons,
a trend,
it's
right?
good. Yeah.
You know how back in the day with the dude-centric stuff, you had like the kind of arty, the airy fairy blonde girls?
Yeah.
You're having like the big hulky dumb dudes
No, they're not
that are
dumb.
being... Well, you saw the dudes with pasta in their mouth.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
literally.
those are just two of the kids.
And then
but
them
they're just
belittling their
weird.
kids, they were taking a piss.
Oh, they
and
weren't,
then her
no,
objectifying
they
her
weren't
husband.
belittling them in the slightest. That
Okay.
scene, it was really funny because one of the children is Jewish and the other one's black, like a person of color. So, they were like, "Why does he have a helmet and I don't?" And like they were
and
having
they
the
just
talk,
bounced?
and she's like,
Okay.
"I just fucking
That's probably,
can't."
I guess I probably didn't want to ruin the joke in the trailer. I just thought it's interesting. I'm starting to see that because isn't the Ghostbusters remake?
Just doing a twist around on it all. Well, the idea of this show is women can work too and be busy, and it's sort of like on that page of how you can find balance in a working world currently.
Is it funny?
I think it's
It
hilarious.
looks pretty funny.
One of the scenes
the
in
brunette
this
chick
thing,
I remember being pretty fucking...
So I'm not
I
going
think
to be
she's a
giving
stand-up.
anything away. Yeah.
I think she's a stand-up comic.
Yeah, the Bo Burnham
Pretty
one's
sure
really good too, apparently. But yeah, that chick, so the one with black hair, Catherine something or other.
Her.
Yeah.
I think she does stand up.
Yeah, no, I think so too. She is very cute. But yeah, no, she sorry.
You fully went to a place just
I
then.
went to a place.
I saw you did. You're like...
She's very
Okay,
attractive.
dude.
But yeah, no, and she in one of the things, so she'd like there's a masturbation scene. And she'd like just finished and opened the door because her friend she didn't just finish. I think she was like getting there. And her friend came to the door and she was just like out of breath. And her friend's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, were you masturbating?" She's like, No, I wouldn't do that.
She's just watching
And
Cars.
it's just like, just kidding. Of course I was. Come in, you fucking cutie. Like,
That's funny.
just like, yeah.
I might have to rewatch it. I think I watched a couple eps.
Nah, give it more credit. It took about like 5 episodes in the first season for me to actually like it. And you can skip all of those. You're not gonna miss out on content.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gonna get in on that. It's on Netflix for everyone. That we probably covered that before. Yeah. But that's us done for this week.
Oh, hasta mañana, bitches.
Thanks everyone for stopping by. Follow us on all of the social medias.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube.
Yes, we're on. What's the Amazon one?
We're on Amazon now.
Yeah. I did that a while back. But it's Irrelevant Platitudes or Plat Pod on all of them. Text messages mid podcast. All right. Thank you very much, and we will see you guys next week.
What are you waiting for?
I'm waiting. The car's cold. The periodical.
Get the fuck out of here! What fucking warming up? Get out of here!
All right.
You heard the man. Get out of here. Thanks for listening to Irrelevant Platitudes. And end recording. Peace.